So in the meantime, let's just discuss that what are in the module number 2, which we'll be seeing, right? So here we'll be talking about the bit about the regions, the availability zones, and we'll be talking about the regions, subscription, the resource group, right? And we'll talk about the compute, networking, storage, and database. So rather than talking about the subscription right here, so I would like to start with the regions and availability zone first, then give you the bit of the idea about the resource and resource group, and then I will be taking you through the Azure portal. There we'll be seeing the computing capability of the VMs, right? The computing capability we have. We will see how to deploy a separate network resource as well. Okay, so for that we need to understand bit about the resource group itself, right? So yeah, there I'll be just taking you through these kind of thing. Okay, so first thing is we'll be talking about the architecture component that is in your regions. So first thing is the region. So as I was saying that Azure is having lot of region around the world, and as it is saying that now Azure has reached up to these 60 regions around the globe, and over 140 countries they are having their data centers, right? So region, when I'm talking about the region, like this is the South Africa West or South Africa North, okay, Southeast Asia, all these Central US, West US. So when I'm talking about a region, so region could be a combination of the multiple one or more data center. So in one region there will be at least one data center, but many of the time there are more than one data center, a collection of data center, right, in particular region. Okay, these region it provide the flexibility and scale to reduce the customer latency, like the things that I was talking about, that this thing is helping you to reduce the latency between the different regions across the world, right? And with this one thing, that nowadays data privacy and compliance, you have to follow the compliance and as well. So what you can have, you can choose according to your need, where your customer is from, you can store those detail on those particular region itself. So it is giving you a lot of feature there. So if your customers, most customer are in the US, so you can store all those data based on the detail of your US on the server, deploying them the US itself, so that local compliance rule are implemented over there, right? If I just talk about the region pairs, so to make sure that we are having a proper disaster recovery, we have the proper solution for the disaster recovery. What we are having a region pair. So condition for which we will be talking about the region pair, there should be a 300-mile separation between one region to another region. Like, yeah, these are the region pairs. So your north central US is paired with the South Central US. East US is paired with the West US. West US 2 is paired with West Central US. US East 2 is paired with the Central US. And all this list you can find at the particular document from the Microsoft itself. I'll be showing you the documents as well. Right now, things are there are automatic replication on the few services, and for few services, what you need to do, you have to start replication services, or you have to trigger an event which we call the failover event, right? So when you trigger this event, so let's just say that on one region you were having one VM, right? You were having a virtual net which was hosting this VM, right? And then there was few other resources as well. So when you will initiate this failover service, so all this will be replicated in your region pair as it is, right? Everything, every network capabilities, they will be replicated over to the region pair. If there is, let's just say, a damage in this part, any natural cause which is causing any problem, so it will be automatically replicated in its region pair itself, right? Some services, they are automatically started over to this region pair, and for some you have to initiate the action of failover, right? And you can prioritize the region as well in the recovery part. You can actually prioritize the regions as well, right? And your Microsoft, they will keep a roll out the different updates as well to minimize the downtime during this failover incidents. Right now we are having a few concept which is going to increase your availability. Now first thing is we are having a single VM. So when we are having a single VM, it is very easier to lift and shift, means making a copy of it. And with the VM, your service level agreement is that they are claiming if you are using a VM with a premium disk, so your uptime is around 99.99%. So it will be available for your 999. Okay, then we have your availability zones. So what is this availability zone? So in the availability zone, in a region, there could be one data center or more than one data center. So usually the region limit for the data center in a region is 3, right? So let's just say this is 1, 2, and 3. Right, so what is happening in the VM if you are choosing for the availability zones? So your VM, let's just say that you have deployed 2 VMs in the first data center. Now replicate, these the replication of these particular VMs will be running on the data center 2 and in the data center 3 as well. So let's just say that there was some particular incident on the one data center and it is not available now, right? So it is not available, but still, those same VMs are running on the data center 2 and 3 as well. So they are available as well. So if there is any problem in one data center, it is not going to affect that particular service on the other data center. So your service will be up and running, and it will be your providing you the 99.99% of SLA, means your uptime, your service level agreement, right? And this is the thing that I was talking about, the multi-region disaster service. So if let's just say that you have deployed a availability zone on a region, right? And this complete region is down. There's some natural calamity or something like that, a disaster was there. When you have choose for or opted for the availability zones, what is going to happen that this machine is going to be replicated over to the is shared region. So again, the same scenario will be copied over to the another region as well. So your machines will be replicated onto the other part as well, on the other region as well. So this is your availability options that has been provided by the Azure to you right now, right? So here there was your availability zone. So if I just talk deep dive into them, so they will be saying the same thing. So providing protection against the downtime due to a data center failure, physical separated data center within a same region. So within a same region, as I was saying, there could be your 3 availability zone. So this zone means this is a separate data center, this is a separate data center, and this is a separate data center. So they are going to have their own power, own cooling, and own networking devices. So if one of the data center it goes down, other two are going to be function at that particular scenario, right? And you can have the complete, your VMs, your resource could be up all the time, right? And you are going to connect them through the private fiber optics as well. Okay, that's the availability zone. Now there are few resources that we are seeing, but in the your fault tolerance, there are few more things. So tomorrow, guys, remind me to tell you about the something which we call the update zones, right? Okay, and your fault zone. Okay, so tomorrow I'll be taking care of these two things as well, right? So that you can understand that these things are also in there. So if you notice in this particular image as well, they have written something like your fault, FD and UD. So UD is kind of your update domain and FD is your fault domain, right? So this, now we'll be moving forward that on your particular Azure resource, we are going to have your few of the resources like we are going to have the VMs, right? Virtual machines, which will be your systems, like it will be having the RAM, the network interface, and all the thing. Then we have something which we call the storage account. So you can use this storage account to create containers for file shares, for table, for the queues. Okay, storing your data in there, the form of blob, right? That kind of thing. For those purpose, we use your storage account, right? And another resource we have is your network, because you are requiring a network which is going to provide communication between different resources. How your virtual machine is going to contact the storage, storage account, or how it is going to connect to the SQL database, right? That is the kind of thing. So it is all provided by your virtual network. Then there is your app service, which will be running your app on the particular directly. This is kind of PaaS we are talking about. So this is a PaaS, platform as a service, where you are not worried about the underlying architecture. You will be defining on the app service that what you want to use, either the Linux or the your Windows, and that is just because of the your runtime stack, because you have to choose that whether you are running on the ASP.NET, okay, you are running on the Ruby, you are running on the particular .NET Core, so where you are running your apps. So for that you have to mention that what is your underlying operating system that you want to run this app. You don't have to manage that operating system, but you have to tell the Azure that where you want to run your particular app, okay, on which kind of VMs. So that VM managing it, that is going to be taken care by the Azure, but you have to tell the Azure that this is the service that I want to actually use, right? There is your VMs, okay. Then we have the databases, not only the SQL databases. In the database services, we are having the SQL, we are having your PostgRE, MySQL as well, right? So we have the different SQL solution as well. So you can bring your own license for, if you have purchased the license for the SQL, right? So you can bring that as well, or if you want to use a very new instance with these, license provided by the Azure itself, so you can use that one as well, right? And apart from that, functions we already talk about, that you just write your particular code and start running it. Don't worry about the underlying architecture there. So that is your function logic app, and generally we talk about them in the courses, like your architectural and or specifically the your logic app, they use mostly with the logs. When we talk about the security, generating alerts, sending the emails, they come very handy at those parts, right? So that's the one thing. Now, whenever you will be launching these resources, right? So, if you just start launching the resources anywhere, right? I am just launching a VM here, giving it the name VM1. Another I'm launching in the, let's say, North. This is in the East US. Now I'm launching one in the North UK. Another is somewhere else and somewhere else, and the function of them very different, right? So I am just making a mess all around. So whenever you will be launching a resource, right, a computing, a VM, a function, anything, it should be a part of a resource group. Okay. And what is your resource group? Resource group will be simply taking care of, that is kind of container that you will be having, and you will be managing all the resources in there. So this group is going to have a VM. Okay. Let's just say that this VM was communicating with the SQL database. A SQL database I'm going to define in there. I am creating some function which will be triggered at a specific point, right? I am having a disk here, so I can launch the disk as well in here. So what I am going to do, I am just going to launch all these apps in a single resource group. So it is going to contain all of your apps, right? So as you can see here as well, that your web app, your VM, your storage are part of one container, rather than sending them different places. So it will help you manage. Apart from that, if you want to delete them, or do the any kind of function, it will be much easier for you if they are in one place and later you want to delete all of them. So it will be easy for you to do the same kind of thing, right? And few things are there, that resources can only exist in a group. So without defining the resource group, you can't have your resources individually, right? That is the necessary thing. Okay. And your resources, the resources which are in this particular resource group, they can belong to different zone as well, different regions as well. Like this is in North US, the South, South US or something like that. And you can remove resources from the group anytime. You can move them from here to there to some other group as well. So this is the kind of the thing that we go with the resource group. Now resource group is actually managed with a plane, which is your Azure Resource Manager. And this is actually going to first authenticate that whether or not you are allowed to make a resource or launch a resource, right? You can launch a resource or create a resource through a Azure portal, your Azure PowerShell, Azure command line interface, or through the REST clients, right? So we'll be seeing these things as well, that what is your PowerShell or CLI. So I think PowerShell, most of people will be familiar that this is command like the bash shell that we are having, right? Okay, so this is installed in all of your Windows machines, and you can install this on the other machines as well. So PowerShell is available for Linux, for your Mac OS as well. Okay, and this will be kind of the module that you are having. So you can install Azure CLI. This is a module, it's a specific module. If you will be downloading this, it is going to be integrated with your CMD, right? You can use the CLI on your iOS as well, on your Linux. So this will be a module, and this is going to give you the permission, or to communicate or launching different resources through the particular command line interface itself, right? That is your Azure CLI, Azure PowerShell, and I'll be giving you a tour of the Azure portal. So all of these requests, they go to your Azure Resource Manager plane, right? This is a management layer. So if I am ordering that I want to create a virtual machine, so this Azure Resource Manager, ARM we call it, it is going to first authenticate that whether or not I am allowed to do so. So when it is authenticating me, yes, that I have permission to create resource. So it will let me create, update or delete those resources as well. And these are when it is launching these particular resources. They are nothing. All these services, they are just a format of your JSON file. Okay, Java script object notation files. All the resource you can launch with the help of your in the JSON format as well. So this give you power to write your code as infrastructure, right? So code as infrastructure, this power is provided to you by the JSON format. So you can just run the JSON file, a JSON program. If you're good with it, you can just directly run that program, okay, with the help of either Azure PowerShell, or we have the template deployment resource as well, through that as well, and you can directly launch resources through it, right? So subscription and the management group, I will be talking about these things later on, right?